Welcome back. If you watched part 1 to 4, I just want to say thank you so much. When I decided I was going to tell the story, it wasn't overnight, neither was it a new decision. I remember in November 2022, one of those dark nights, I told myself, Dumola, you are not going through this for yourself. You are going through it to help others in the future. Even though I didn't know how close the future was, all I knew was I needed to encourage myself to be strong enough to go through the dark times I went through and that horrible phase because of this very moment. So the messages I've gotten with encouragement about me sharing my story, hearing other people's stories, it has been one that's fueled me to continue telling this story. Let's talk about what happened after I left the marriage. If you watch part 1 to 4, I want you to get 3 things from it. There are more things you can get, but let's stick to these 3 ones. So 1 is my behavioral pattern, right? I grew up quite independent. I trained myself to even be more independent, and then I isolated myself very early on in life. That was me before I got married. Then I got married and I even became more isolated. I wasn't sharing much with close people around me. I mean, that's the advice, right? And isolation actually weakens you. And what happens when you're weak? You become a breeding ground for the prey. I won't say more than that. Then afterwards, I even became extremely isolated. Post-traumatic stress. I've said isolation in 3 places, and it's very important in this particular part that I'm sharing with you. So here I am. My 30th birthday is coming. I just left my marriage. Girl, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? But what's very interesting is how my 30th birthday became the catalyst for me to reset my life. That was literally the reset button that I needed. But I couldn't have planned this out. I couldn't have dreamt about it this way. The 30th birthday is like a very huge milestone for all of us, right? And everything just happening around that moment seemed very divine. Because I feel like if I had celebrated my 30th birthday in that marriage, there's a high probability I wouldn't have left. Because that would have brought that new feeling of, okay, yeah, now it's time to be a mother. Now it's time to, do all these other responsibilities that you were not doing before. You are now a full-blown adult, if that makes sense. But everything just happened in the way it was supposed to give me that gift of a reset. Because no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times you fail, always be ready to reset your life until you get the desired life that you want. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to say, this is not working. I need to reset. Anyways, back to the story. So I celebrated my 30th birthday in internal grief, but there's no way you could have been able to tell from social media, from me posting, from me doing photo shoots, that I was about to embark on a very gruesome journey. The first 3 months post separation were hell, like literal hell. I've never been through any kind of hell like that, and it just makes me realize that I've actually had a very pretty decent life. And if your life is going too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. If it's too perfect, then it's probably too perfect. You need to ask God, wait, what's going on? Why am I not having difficulties? Right? So this journey is one that has really opened my eyes to make me realize that I am very human after all. Very human. I can feel. If anyone had told me that I'll become a cry baby, I'll say it's a lie. I could literally count how many times I cried in uni. emotions, showing my emotions, wearing on my sleeves, never came to me easily. I was always protective. Like my outer self is an iron dome for my emotions. But post that, I had to become soft. I had to like release. I had to feel. So in a way, it became something positive, if that makes sense. But it wasn't a journey that happened overnight. So the first 3 months after my birthday, I closed my business. And sorry, before my birthday, I closed my business. I had to lay my staff off. This was a very difficult decision, but I didn't understand what I was going through. This is something new, right? I needed time to process it. But my priority was just focus on the orders that had already been paid for. So I had to do that alone. And being alone in my thoughts even sunk me into a deeper, deeper grave. I didn't really know how to express myself. I just wanted to be alone. I've always, been this person that has been isolated. So this particular traumatic event even made it worse. I had to isolate myself. It was quite unintentional, but as time went on, I realized that certain people that I would have relied on to keep my mind busy were not there. So it opened my eyes to see that, yeah, when the going gets good, you have the pigeons, you have the eagles flocking around looking for where to eat. But when there's a drought season, you won't find them around because they're looking elsewhere, scavenging for food. And that's what that season revealed to me, that I needed to really truly analyze who was for me, who was against me. It was either or, there was no middle ground. What that led to was me isolating myself further. Yeah, I did. I'm not advising that, because when you isolate yourself, you become weak emotionally. And when you become weak emotionally and even spiritually, you become a breathing ground for the devil to prey on. Like I said, those months were the darkest months of my life. I was grieving through pain. Tears were flowing every day. Then, at the third month, I moved to my house. And it became the fresh reset that I actually needed in that moment. Also, my family encouraged me to resume business because they knew that business brought me joy, and they wanted me to find joy in fulfilling my customers' orders. And I'm grateful that happened because it got my brain busy. So I wasn't focusing on the pain. I was distracted by work and putting my energy elsewhere to get better feedback. So I kind of felt useful. So mind you, now I'm the only one doing this. I only had like the customer service rep who usually works from home, supporting. But for all the back end work, everything that had to do with the order, I was processing it. It was a lot. I became overwhelmed. But still, I think I'm grateful for that alone moment, because I feel like if I had staff around me at that point, I would have been tired from, managing everybody at this time, right? So me doing it alone meant I'm doing it right one time. No correction, no talking to myself, nothing. But also in this moment, I didn't feel God's presence. I was very angry with God. I was very, very angry with God. Prior to getting married, I thought of myself as a Christian that was above baby level. I wasn't in a pastor level anyway, but at least I was doing more than milk. I was doing more than milk in the spirit, right? I think I was on the feed level, like the what's it called? What's that food again? The semi-solid. Yeah, I wasn't on the solid yet. I was on the semi-solid. I was doing fine, but with marriage, I was like I said before, lukewarm. And now, post trauma, I'm not even anywhere near warm. I was cold. 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 I was very, very angry with God because I felt I had paid my dues and I shouldn't have experienced what I did. But if your life is going too well, you need to question God. You need to question God. Anyways, grief on its own was dark. Grief was very dark because I didn't even really understand what I was grieving. Am I grieving the person I loved and lost? Am I grieving my decision? Am I grieving the shame that comes with being a divorcee? Or am I just grieving for the sake of saying, yeah, this is what you're supposed to be feeling right now? It wasn't until I started to heal that I realized that I was grieving my inner child that believed I will never be a divorcee. That's exactly what it was. I wasn't grieving over the man I loved and lost that is still alive. He's not dead. At least I think. I wasn't grieving over the fact that I chose him because I knew I chose who I loved. I did not choose because I wanted to settle down. I did not choose because marriage was a do or die affair for me. So I wasn't grieving that. I wasn't grieving shame either. I'm a very bold person. I'm a very bold woman, right from childhood. Shame, you won't find it in my corner. Because whatever decision I make, whatever utterances I make, I stand by them, even if I'm wrong. I admit my wrong. So I wasn't grieving shame. I was grieving my inner child. I was grieving my inner child that believed in love, that believed in commitment, that believed all the stories that I've read online were just other people's stories. It will never be mine. So I was grieving that innocence. I was grieving that innocence. And the reason why I'm even doing this video is not even for your current self, it's not for your past self, it's for your future self that will remember that Dumola shared her story when, God forbid, but God wills too, you might also have to experience a season of grief. It might not be from marriage, it might be from other kinds of betrayal. You might have to experience heartbreak. But because you've listened to my story, you've heard how I came out of it, it's to encourage you to come out of yours too. That is the reason I'm sharing this story. Really, truly. I wish I had videos like this to watch when I was grieving, but I didn't. I think I only had one person around me that had gone through it. But even as at then, I really couldn't start asking for in-depth questions on how the person was able to navigate that journey. Here and there we talked, but it wasn't really in-depth, right? So I had to basically do it on my own. Again, without God at that moment, because I was angry with him. I wasn't fellowshipping, I wasn't praying, I wasn't worshiping, nothing. I wasn't going to church. I truly isolated myself. I lived in a loop. Work, eat, Netflix, sleep. Work, eat, Netflix, sleep. That was my life. And there's no way you could have been able to tell from social media posts that I was going through a very difficult moment, because I was still showing up in places I needed to show up. So when I eventually moved to my house, I felt that sense of freedom. I felt that sense of restarting, but I didn't know where to start from. Then, luckily for me, before I left that marriage, I had started therapy. If you recall, I mentioned depression, I mentioned not understanding what was going through my mind, my mental state was in a decline. So prior to ending that marriage, I started therapy already. And you guys, therapy actually is healing, but it depends on what you want to get out of therapy. So for me, I just needed an outlet. I wasn't looking for a diagnosis, I wasn't looking for drugs to help with the pain or my mind or whatever. I just needed an outlet to speak my mind fully, well, without holding anything back. Every information that I knew was going to help me release this pain, I shared it. And glory be to God, the therapist I got was a very good listener. There was nothing about you made bad choices or trying to guilt trip you into feeling like you're inadequate or anything like that. All my therapist did was listen to me and give me like questions to guide me to find the root cause of the problem. That's exactly what it is. Let's find the root cause of the problem. If you can get the root cause of the problem, then we can find the solution, right? If we need to uproot the tree, then let's uproot the tree. I know that this tree is not yielding any fruit. And that brings me to reset. If for any reason you feel like you're at a point in your life where you can't go forward, you can't go back, you can't go left, you can't go right, that is your number one sign that it's time to reset. And you have the grace to reset your life as many times as you can, as long as you have breath in your lungs. You can reset your life as many times as you can. Who knows? I might still have to do another reset before I leave this world, right? That's the beauty of being self-aware, that you need to restart, you need to reset. So don't feel any shame, don't feel any guilt if you need to make a tough decision. I'm here to tell you that no matter how dark the days look, no matter how gloomy it looks, there will always be sunshine and there will always be rainbow after the rain. It's colorful, it's exciting, it's encouraging, it's soul lifting when you see that rainbow at the end of a very gloomy rain. So, therapy, it helped me a great deal. And I also had something to look forward to, even if it was just once a week. I always know, okay, I'm going for therapy on Saturday. And that was my routine for a couple of months until I felt, yeah, I think I'm done telling this story. Now let me see what I can do with this knowledge I've gained from opening up, right? For the most part of this video, I just want to tell you that pain is only temporary. Feel it. Go through it. Don't ignore it. Don't put it to the side. Because putting it to the side means it's going to compound there, and by the time you feel it, it's going to overwhelm you. And dare I say, it could ruin you. So if you're going through any form of pain right now, I want you to feel every part of it. Feel it. Go through the motions. Go through every downtime. Go through any thought that's coming to your mind. And when you start to feel it, you start to breathe. You're no longer in denial. You're no longer thinking about what if, had I known. You are now grieving the end. And that grief is preparing you for the future to receive something better. You can't grieve what you've not lost. You can't grieve what you've not loved. Right? So grieving is a testament that you loved and you treasured what you lost. Now you have to let it go. And that is why you grieve over it. To process all the emotions of that loss. To process the pain. You grieve, you feel it. Get therapy if you need to. I know you have to actually. It's trauma. and trauma can ruin you for life if you're not careful. So if you have access to therapy, financially, time-wise, please get therapy, get help. And if you cannot do therapy, then get your tribe to help you through that moment. Do not isolate yourself the way I did. I can give you the pros for it, but I will actually have to mention more of the cons of isolation. So that's to tell you that it doesn't really have much advantages. It does more harm than good because, like I said, the devil preys on your loneliness. The devil preys on your seclusion. There's a reason why the Bible says we need to fellowship with one another. And it also says, where two or three are gathered in my name, so shall I be. But if you are alone, yes, God in His own divine mercy will still be with you. Your angels are still with you. But He's guaranteed His presence where two or more are gathered in His name. So fellowship with others. Don't isolate yourself. Bring your tribe into your situation. Open up. Open up. Pour yourself into what you love. It will help to process the thoughts that creep into your mind every day. You should do that. Alright. I'll see you in part 6 now. Don't worry, it won't be long anymore, and I'll be done with sharing my story on how I reset my life. Talk to you soon.